Now, moving on to the next session, we have a very special speaker here with us, Mr. Venkatesan Giri sir, who is an architect and EDA evangelist. Sir is a seasoned architect and developer, advocate at Solus. He has extensive expertise in integration technologies, APIs, microservices, and event-driven architecture. With decades of experience, Sir has contributed to the evolution of enterprise integration, and with his current focus on Gen AI and application of AI in event-driven systems, he is both a proponent and learner around the trends in this space. Today, Sir will be sharing his experience and his expertise on the topic AI on the fly, implementing safe and dynamic AI with remote config. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Venkatesan Giri sir on stage with a huge, huge round of applause.
So as I'm setting up the laptop, there is a notion called as trigger word. When you hear a certain word, the memory, good, bad, whatever it is, it keeps kind of popping out. Today morning when Siddhant was talking about his slides, he said Bangalore and traffic. Boom. Traffic is the trigger word for any Bangaloreans. The reason why I'm talking about that is basically, Antriksh also told me today that Pune has become as bad as Bangalore because of construction and so on. So I am welcoming you. We can be sister cities. And one other fun thing about Bangalore is, just about 2 years back, we used to have a fun lane called as cow lane. So all the cows were disciplined, going on its own path, and everybody's happy. It's erased. Now cows are made first-class citizens. They have to compete with us for the road. So hope Pune doesn't get there. All right? All right. I don't know, it's morning, afternoon. Good to see you, Pune. This is my second trip. Nice place. I love people. I love this place. And I'm joined by my colleague, Suresh Palaka. My name is Giri Venkatesan. I am a developer advocate primarily. A lot of experience in various domains. But what I'm going to talk about is today, mesh matters. When you build systems, first thing that you think about is the system design, right? When you build a system, especially with AI, it gets re-emphasized. What I'm bringing to the table is event-driven agent communication, which is basically the marrying this notion of event-driven architecture and agent-based interactions. So we know today we live in a world where more and more applications are coming online. Some of the statistics say that it's especially at least 1,000 applications per enterprise. What happened here? It's gone. Anyway, so the systems are becoming more distributed. Obviously, we know we are at GCD, cloud adoption, and then different forms of deployment setup, right? 90% of the organizations are multi-cloud. It's just not about, hello? It's just not about the multi-cloud, on-prem, hybrid. There are varieties of deployment setup that's coming into picture, all right? And what it leads to is the necessity for sharing more, right? And it is increasing by 25% year over year. When we do sharing, obviously the one thing that matters is how fast can I get access to my data, the velocity. In other words, we want a low latency ecosystem, right? And it's not just kind of a batch or anything anymore. It's real time, if not near real time. In this mix, let's put the AI into the game. The more the intelligence you have, the more the agents you're going to need. And your agentic AI is going to mandate that you have a better integration strategy. So adoption of AI and adoption of AI workflows in any form puts more emphasis on this notion of integration. Right? That's what I want to highlight with this particular slide. And then what you're looking at is the traditional event-driven integration approach. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here. Couple of questions. How many of you are familiar with event-driven architecture? Please raise your hands. Not many. That would have been a great news for me to evangelize if it was other places. But right now, I'm going to stay focused. How many of you are students? Pretty good. Pretty good. So when you walk away from this session, go and check it out. The world is not synchronous. It is asynchronous. So that's what the underlying theme for my talk, but I will park here So let's get back to the slides. Existing enterprise integration, we are talking about, connecting applications, allowing them to exchange information in the form of event in real time. So obviously, when you say exchanging information, that has to be mediated. Who's the mediator? That's your event mesh. When I say event mesh, it's a mesh of brokers. We know what a broker means, right? Somebody produces, somebody consumes. So this guy stands in the middle and facilitates the exchange of information. And when you say mesh, it's a network of brokers. So this ecosystem is proven. It's been around. How many of you are familiar with Kafka? There we go. I'm not going to preach to the choir here. So if you know Kafka, you will know event-driven integration, right? And Solace is a pioneer in this domain. Has been around for quite some time. Various form factors, from appliance to cloud to software. So we are the pioneer in this domain. So this problem is solved. We are good at EDA, and the world is good at EDA. It's been adopted. Now, AI possibilities brings a new problem into the table. What are the AI possibilities? You build an AI system, expose it as a service. Or maybe you want to talk to your LLM from your internal application, right? Or maybe you are building an agentic AI workflow, right? The whole point is, how are those systems going to get real-time data? Now, underline this word. What is real-time data? Data is there, you can query, you can get it happily, but there is an age, by definition, attached to the data. The moment a data piece comes into existence, it starts expiring. Like a ticker, right? If there is a stock ticker value for Reliance, it's losing value, and it becomes nil when the next ticker comes in. So data gets created, and it starts expiring. So what we need is real-time data in the real-world solutions. In AI, especially in the enterprise case, it's even more important. Now, we are not talking to a chatbot that says that I am trained only up to December 2022. Sorry, I don't have data. We can live with that. But enterprise cannot live with that. If it has orders that came in 2 minutes back, it need to know. I'll put it this way. It'll be good to know. If you do, your agentic decision, AI-driven decision will become more relevant, contextual, and impact-making. Make sense? So this is where some of the use cases I want to highlight. Hydrating the data stores. The data store could be your traditional database, then event-driven integration will take care. If it is a vector database, if it is some other AI service that's doing something beyond a regular activity. So that's the data hydration. For that, the event-driven architecture can be a feeder. Next one, when you talk about integration and AI agents, it's not going to be a single agent in the play anymore. You're going to have multiple agents working and collaborating together to solve a problem. That means, who's going to assign the task? This is the traditional workflow perspective. There's always an orchestrator. He's going to distribute the task, collect the results, and present you the final response. Does that make sense? This is so true in the AI agentic world, or agentic AI perspective, right? So there's an orchestrator that invokes and coordinates interaction between agents. And next one is multi-agent collaboration. Having 10 agents designed to solve your specific subtasks of a bigger problem is good, but who's going to kind of collaborate this? How are they going to communicate with each other? What are they going to call APIs? Are they going to, RPC? There are better ways of doing it. That's exactly what the event mesh is offering. That is nothing but every single interaction between these agents is going to be published, subscribed in the form of events. My previous speaker was talking about Google PubSub engine, right? That is event-driven activity. Just extend the thought, make it more robust, enterprise, professional grade. That's what we're talking about. In essence, what we are looking at is extending the event-driven integration into AI. It is not kind of coming in 2 years, it's already happening. We have customers who have deployed and saw the benefit, and it's really, really rocking out. It's getting interesting. Now, what is Solace Agent Mesh? All right, so I'm here to talk about the agent mesh, but you cannot talk about agent mesh without talking about the underlying platform. That's what event mesh is. So basically, it is your agentic AI central nervous system. What does the nervous system do? It allows the flow of anything. Be it, in the case of nervous system, it's blood, or here it's events, right? So this Solace Agent Mesh has inbuilt agents out of the box supporting the standard things like Slack, REST, webhook, and so on, and also supports MCP, A2A, protocols. That means any agents built on this compliance standard, you get a good go from the beginning, right? And of course, the most important piece is this is an open source component. So anybody can check it out, go to GitHub, clone it, install it, run it, right? And of course, the world doesn't stop and end with this MCP and A2A. We still have existing enterprises, right? You need to have an interface to connect to those enterprise applications. Boomi, SAP, Slack, starting from your Teams, REST, and so on, right? And last but not least, the central theme of all AI is the LLMs. There could be a simple task that needs to send a query to an LLM, get a data enrichment, or a simple query to send something and then do a format conversion, or NLP management, right? You have these external LLM interactions. So these are the three key pieces that makes up a Solace agent mesh. But if you dig deep, let's start with this framework concept per se, right? So event mesh is the foundation where the events flow between the brokers, and it offers you the robust, scalable, and extensible platform on which the mesh is going to operate. Now, what does the mesh brings in? First, it brings in gateways. Basically, a reach into the outside world, right? And you can connect your Salesforce application, Slack application, supply chain, or your own custom application, microservice that you have built. That's your gateway into the mesh, right? Next one is, when such an AI interaction comes in, who's going to take care of the orchestration part? Incoming query is split into subtasks, and then assigning the subtask to appropriate agent with the right skills or right tools, right? That's the orchestrator. And third one is your agents. No, you could be building some, or you could be pulling it from a public marketplace, or it could be there's so many marketplaces nowadays for MCP, agent.ai to so you can build something using the standard protocol, Amazon Bedrock, or the MCP. The key point here is you can build something, but how are you going to recognize them? That's where the standards comes into picture. So the Solace agent mesh supports A2A and MCP. Let me rephrase that. It uses A2A as the agentic protocol to enable communication between these agents, and MCP compliant. That means any MCP server out there, you should be able to talk to them. Simple configuration, right? Of course, I talked about this AI service. That's the way for you to reach into the LLM world. It could be OpenAI. Now, what's the benefit you see in this picture is, if you build an application that's tightly coupled with the AI model using traditional AI API over RPC, tomorrow you want to swap the model with something else. That's going to be impacting the code. But with the event-driven approach, this can be plucked out, and another model can be dropped in. The reason is it's operating based on the event, publishing and subscribing, right? So decoupling is a natural benefit of event-driven architecture, so that also extends to the AI. Does that make sense? Am I going too fast? I know. I got to keep a watch on the time. We're good? All right. The most important piece is data management. At the end of the day, it's not just about throwing events here and there. Underneath, there is a data. What do you want to do with the data? Starting from simple transformation to translation to whatever else, with security and access control, oversight. That's what this data management is all about. Because you may build applications or AI agents that need to be role managed. You don't have access to this data. You cannot subscribe to this information. You cannot touch this attribute, for example. So that means you have to have an access control mechanism and a security mechanism. And you cannot define that in the AI layer. AI layer is somewhat abstract. So underneath, the event mesh we are talking about, that offers you all these things. So it just gets extended to the AI layer. Does that make sense? Right? So the last piece is, everybody talks about observability, right? So it's all about the generating traces, letting it collected by Datadog or Grafana, whatever it is. Those are all pretty good. But this domain is still evolving, right? We need to know what the heck is happening inside the black box, especially when you have an agentic AI workflow. So we also made it more interesting / complicated, saying that incoming event could be carrying a big query, which is going to be passed to LLM, break it into subtasks, and then assign it. So that means there's a flow happening without any human intervention. So that means it's more than ever necessary to visualize them. So that's a component that's part of the agent mesh. Now, this is our Solace platform. It's built on the standard components that provided the integration architecture for enterprise. Right? Now, on par, the application services, micro-integration, and agent mesh that covers both of the best of the both worlds. Okay? And your applications, AI agents, devices, data. I keep talking about devices because even device is a first-class citizen when it comes to integration. Sensors or sensor-based systems, right? So all of these things, you need a unified platform. That's what Solace Agent Mesh offers. And why? Simple. You need an open AI platform that is supporting MCP, A2A, built on standards. And two, you need a secure access and scope managed. You cannot build something from the scratch. Today, there's no vendor is attempting it. All the players, I'm just going to throw some names here, be it MuleSoft or anybody who's playing in the API world, they're just elevating their platform by putting another layer on top of it, capitalizing on the strengths that's already offered in the platform, right? We are doing the same thing here. Everything what we are talking about in terms of security, access control, it is available in the event mesh. Just by layering on top of it, the agent mesh benefits immensely, okay? And in an organized manner. And enterprise-level scale, I don't have to talk about it. It's a simple performance needs, scalability needs, resilience needs. Those are all very important. Now, in this big picture, let's start with the fundamental unit. What is an agent? It's a piece of software that plans, executes, reflects, returns a response. If it needs, it retries, right? But dissect it more closely. Using MCP tool, it can talk to the outside world. And using appropriate APIs, it can talk to LLMs. And it also has memory, right? Context. There are various forms of memory implementation are happening. And it can also talk to other agents. Agreed? A2A is for agentic communication. MCP is for talking to outside world in terms of tool-based interaction. And in essence, agent must have a goal. What is it supposed to do? That's why when you build an agent, it has to have a specific purpose. What's the goal? And what's its profile and /role? Meaning, what is its profile? What kind of data it can have access to? And what are the things that are prohibited? Who can access? Who are prohibited from accessing this agent? Right? And so on. This is where the big picture evolves, the environment in which the agent is operating. And that needs to be context managed. Right? If it is so important in a single agent, imagine the complexity of getting this realized in an agentic ecosystem. So this is what the agent is all about. With that said, how does the agent mesh facilitate this collaboration? First, we saw that the agent represents various skills or access to backend systems. That means you can have an agent connecting to Slack for agent for Salesforce. We are clear on that, right? They have a purpose, and they have a scope of operation, and they offer you a specific benefit. Next one, the most important piece, even A2A, if you're familiar with the A2A specification, it talks about agent reference card. They need to be able to declare and announce to the world that these are my capabilities, right? We follow the same standard. With that, they can introduce themselves to the orchestrator. Now I'm referring to the Solace Agent Mesh terms. So the orchestrator is aware of all the registered agents. Traditional thinking, you will have service registry, API registry, something similar to it. So all the agents, as they connect to the mesh, they declare or announce who they are, what their skills are, what tools they have access to, right? And the orchestrator keeps a record of what skills are available, and the communication is through real time. That means events. The flow or the interaction between these agents is going to be in the form of events. That means there's an intermediary. That's our event mesh, right? So, for example, the Salesforce agent says, I can help you with any sales orders. That might be the skill set it's announcing to the orchestrator. So next time onwards, any query about your prompt has that, I want to know about the sales order backlog for this customer. Instead of choosing Jira or Gong, the orchestrator will precisely know what agent to send that query to. Make sense, guys? All right. So let me run a quick video on this one, because I would love to do a demo, but I need a massive setup connecting to cloud and all those things. So So what you're looking at is that this is a reference card. I cannot even pass. Okay, so this is the agentic workflow with the reference to all the agents that are registered with the orchestrator. And as usual, just like a test bed, you will start with a chat interface. And you say, hey, what are the agents you have, and what can you do in terms of activity? And the orchestrator thinks and looks at its own agent registry and says, these are the agents registered, and gives the basic information. This is not manufactured. This is as announced by the agent. All right? So you can look at it. ABC Coffee Company has this many agents, all looking good. Now, you're asking a genuine query. Fetch me metrics on sales by unit and revenue for our products in 2025. Right? This is the prompt from your perspective. But when it hits as an event to the orchestrator, it goes and identifies CRM is the one that's going to have this data about customers. And then it executes a SQL query to fetch the data. And next, okay, I'm sorry, it's screen switches, but when it evolves, yeah, every output that gets generated in the intermediate steps, they are stored as artifacts because it can become an input to the next agent, right? And this is your metrics. I'm waiting for that particular screen where you have the full flow. All right, no, more. And finally, there are inbuilt agents available. You don't have to build PDF generation, markdown generation, or conversion between the formats, or even HTML report generation. So a couple of charts showing the top. You don't have, these are all mundane things, right? LLM can do, and you don't need an agent for that. The agent mesh automatically has this capability with the inbuilt agents. Make sense? Now, there we go. Finally, you look at it. It goes through this sales, take the data, and then CRM to. But you get the picture, right? It's going to talk to other agent. And this kind of a routing of the task is based on the skills as announced by the. And finally, it can generate charts. And I'm waiting for that one report. It can produce a beautiful summary report. At the end of the day, I have a feeling, AI is great, but as we stand today, 90% of the use cases are summarization of some form or the other. But things will change. Why I'm talking about enterprise? Their use cases are different. Summarization is a small piece, right? So we'll see more. Yeah, it's a HTML. Just take a look at that. See, this is the part I'm still not coming to terms with. Why can't they just do like I ask something, you give me something? No, I will give you character by character. There we go. That's your report. How much effort one has to put? If you go back in time and think about, oh, I want a reporting team, and you give you a requirement, they will do the proper whatever tool, I don't remember many, and they will generate one report. And it will not be reusable. But this guy is so dynamic. Based on the data, he pulls up the layout, content, organizes it in a logical, meaningful way for consumption. All right? So anyway, so coming back here, the implementation requires event-driven integration. This is not said by me. This is from the popular analyst group called as IDC. If you guys are aware of this analysts per se who is keeping an eye on the trending technologies and pioneers / the performers in that domain. So they say that 80% of participants in their survey, AI agents are the new enterprise apps, right? Like how we had mobile apps, and then now we have AI apps. And from an enterprise perspective, that's going to be enterprise apps internally available, exposed in a secured manner, triggering reconsidering of our investments in a packaged apps. If this guy says, that means it's going to influence the adoption / thinking in the business world. Okay? Now, it's not so easy. Building an agent is easy. Having two agents talk to each other is easy because Google has provided everything. But when it comes to enterprise, you need real-time context. Right now, it's not available for you. You need to work hard on your own. Right? Next one, the governance and security is easy said, but realizing it is a lot of effort. Right? Either you need to build a tool, or you need to operate in an ecosystem that offers that, and you can tap into it. Unpredictability. Things change around you. Right? One system is there today, and tomorrow you migrate it to some other system. How does it affect the AI workflow? Siloed and rigid infrastructure. If you don't do the things correctly in your own AI world, at the end of the day, AI also produces artifacts. AI also maintains data, either in vector DB or whatever form it is. If it is not exposed and integrated properly, you are creating another rigid distinct silos of data, which is what we are trying to avoid or overcome with integration, right? So if you don't do it right, it can become an issue. At the end of the day, if you go with a bespoke or your own custom implementation, it could be slow. So these are the challenges that's not easy to kind of overcome by an individual or a small firm. Especially for enterprises, they have to put a lot of effort. And they already have an infrastructure that's following some standard. So that's why when you look at the businesses, they say when they say have MuleSoft for CRM, then Salesforce or CRM, they will go with the AI solution from Salesforce. Basically, extending is rather easy and meaningful than building something from scratch, right? So in the big picture, AI problem, AI implementation problem is context, not the code. Code can be written by anybody, but the context management is the key. 20% is the AI technology, so look how kind of a small number it has come down to, and 80% is the context and integration. This is what everybody is working hard. If you look at closely the memory as a notion, you know how many types of memory has been kind of talked about, invented, implemented. It's crazy. So the context is the problem, and context integration is the next big problem when it comes to multi-agent ecosystem. Right? So bottom line, to summarize, we need to be able to liberate the data from your source systems that can feed into regular integration needs, as well as your AI systems, stream and filter it to the target system. That means make the data available in real time. React and integrate. That means make sure that when you get an event, define the rules, what you are supposed to do. Maybe send an email, or maybe massage the data and then give it to the next guy, right? Depending on your requirement, you need to be able to react. That's your integration. And finally, what we are trying to accomplish here is democratized access, right? We have all the data, but we are confined by the rules and regulations, access control, right? But you take a systematic approach, you can easily accomplish this democratized access to data. That means tomorrow a new org that's been acquired with a merger and M&A activity, their data can be brought over to your system with ease without moving the data, just by integrating. Same thing, your data can be exposed to them. APIs can do that, but it's not real time. It has its own issues. Event-driven brings you a slightly latent, better benefit. All right? Now, some use cases, when you evaluate AI, there are three, as it stands today, three perspectives. Conversational, analytics. I mean, many people showed this chatbot, right? Even I showed. In that, every prompt that you give is some form of analytical. Can you tell me the summarized sales by volume? It's a summarization, right? And next one is event-triggered. When something happens, you know, if data is more than this, send an email. If you give it in your prompt, the AI agent can do that. So event-triggered assistant or a fully automated agentic system. Right? Let's look at a simple use case. Okay, I'm going to run this video also quickly because I cannot do a demo. I would rather, I'll make it as quick as possible. So orchestrator is also an agent. In the picture, I showed you many agents, right? The central piece is the orchestrator, and the rest is all registered agents. So I have my Jira. I create a ticket saying that there's somebody complained that a missing order, and that sent an email. I copy-paste that email. Okay? Pretty much, so this got created. You are viewing the ticket. Looks good. It's all done. Now, behind the scene, what is happening is this. When you look at the task monitor, that event, the Jira ticket creation event hit that agentic mesh, and there is an agent who subscribed to this, and that triggers the start of a task. And ignore this part, but you see here, orchestrator, ABC, company info, support, all these things are available for access. So based on what is being reported in the ticket, it can split this into subtasks and give it to these agents. And this is what, I just wish it's better. Okay, see this? First goes CRM, get a ticket, and then it goes to company support, probably creates an issue, and last, probably it will be sending an email, I think. Okay? Okay, it goes back to Jira. So based on the analysis, what it found as a reason, what need to be done, what's escalation or remediation, it goes back and updates the Jira ticket. There we go. internal comment for AVC done by your AI agentic workflow, full context, enriched context about who's the customer and what's the issue and what are the history, support history. Now, when somebody is looking at this kind of thing, they can manage this better, right? This is the same use case everybody is talking about, but here we are talking about multiple agents working together, accessing enterprise systems. Make sense? So the agentic use cases, you can view it in kind of a tabulated perspective. For me, I'm going to focus on the benefits. When you use a conversational aspect, you are accessing all the data, basically a democratized data access. And what's the outcome? Faster research, faster summary, faster insight. When you go with the event-triggered approach, it increases process efficiency. You don't have to put it in a queue or in a batch and for that other guy to come and read. This is real time. As it happens, event gets published, and it hits the other orchestrator. Orchestrator routes it to the right task agent, and world moves on. And the benefit is enriched data and streamlined workflows in a timely manner. The thing that you saw, right, Jira ticket getting created, there is no human intervention. Everything moves by events. And when it comes to agentic automation, exponential increases in capacity. Simple reason, A2A standard for agent-to-agent communication, and then this agent reference card and discovery with the orchestrator, you can become part of the agentic network. That's all it is. It's not even a connected network. You announce yourself, this is me, these are my skills, these are the tools I have access to. Orchestrator will know when to use you. Just because you are there doesn't mean that it's going to keep on sending you, right? So your efficiency increases. And then highly automated dynamic workflows. That's what we are shooting for, right? So I'm going to skip this in the interest of time. Maybe I'll take some questions. Anyway, retail use case, for example, when customer escalates, you want to enrich information about the customer, and it should be automatic. So obviously, in a traditional thinking, you would have created a workflow. With that information, you would have come back with the enriched customer information. Now we are using AI. That means the data that you don't have also can become part of your enrichment, right? And trigger, for example, a VIP customer submits. How would you know it's a VIP customer, non-VIP customer, right? Maybe it's a different queue. Maybe it's a different class. Those kind of distinction can be brought in, and the goal is to trigger a real-time workflow based on the class of service. And the result is systems that create a summary, the whole 9 yards. We have already seen all those things, right? So agentic automation is the focus here. Now, simple example is reallocation of store. When you walk into a mall, big store, there'll be 100 people standing in the counter, in the stalls, but not in the counter. But there's a big queue. What if those people can come and man that open, closed counters and then help ease up the crowd? They wouldn't do it simply because they are not told. This can do that. Monitoring the purchases, people movement, all those things can be triggering something so that it can automatically reallocate the counters and announce saying that new counters has opened, right? I'm not joking about this. This is a real-life use case we have done in a traditional integration for a European retail, but with AI, it's going to go places, right? And triggering monitoring agent, suddenly an influx of shoppers in a store. Maybe what do you need to do? I don't know, maybe lessen the counter and then people distribution for the stalls, or maybe the other way, or maybe which section they are manning. There are a lot of things that can come into play depending on the use case. And reassigning staff, which I already talked about, right? So focusing on capabilities, very simple. A single agent is a smart digital assistant, just like what we have as a chat interface to ChatGPT, to OpenAI, and Claude, to Anthropic, and so on, right? They perceive triggers when you enter and reason through problems based on what you described, and plan and adapt based on the context as to what you said. And last but not least, act to achieve a specific goal conforming to what you're asking. This is straightforward. We are all very familiar. Knowingly, unknowingly, we are using agents today. All right? Okay. Multi-agent system is slightly different. The fundamental focus is on collaboration of these agents. Because we don't want a single agent specialized in one thing. That's not our problem. Our problem is more complex. So collaboration of agents based on the division of tasks, sharing information. Again, remember, context, context, context. That's going to be the key going forward. It's not about agentic capability. How do you create a context? How do you manage the context? How do you share the context? Sharing information, coordinating responsibilities, and solving complex problems. All right? So if you take a traditional approach, you can do it today. RPC, API calls. point to point. Every agent will know about every other agent. This is your spaghetti, this is your mess, point to point. What we are saying is the solution is event-driven architecture. The agents simply need to talk to the broker or the event mesh. And the event mesh takes care of routing these events based on the interest. That's already registered. Okay? Now, I'm going to skip these things. I will give room. I mean, it's a very valid question. Does it make sense? Answer is yes. If you're building a multi-agent system, these are the reasons why you need a Solace agent mesh. And then, is this a complex solution that could be solved more easily? Depends. How you abstract your problem, that's the bottom line, right? A simple problem can be solved with a complex solution, and you will know it the moment it comes out. Over here, if you are dealing with simple needs like one-shot LLM calls, local agent flows, you don't need Solace agent mesh. But if you're doing distributed decision-making, which is the way of life in enterprises today, and event action-based boundaries, that means real-time, and real-time agent collaboration, inter-agent, you need Solace agent mesh. So this is what it offers. And the next one is about, is there overbetting on asynchronous? Remember, behind the scene, I'm also highlighting the world is asynchronous. You may see 10 birds flying together. Not everybody is flopping their wings at the same pace or in the same direction. We work very hard to create this synchronous system because it makes it easy for us to understand. No problem. We don't have to change the world. But let's give room for this asynchronicity. Recognize that. Build systems that can reflect the real world. So on that basis, async is strategic. Choose wisely. All right? And this is what I want to stop with. Everybody is thinking A is going to do that, this, blah, blah, blah. Answer is yes and no. Yes, probably down the line, it's going to make a huge impact. But no, today, because it is consumer-centric. We are still enjoying the benefits. Enterprises are yet to realize. It is transitioning into that stage. We have few customers who have already implemented Solace Agent Mesh, and the feedback is raving. All right? So I'll close this. World of intelligent agents is talking to each other is like Jarvis. You guys know Jarvis, right? It's already envisioned by these Hollywood directors. You're not far off. We are going to get there. This orchestrator is Jarvis in this case. But unlike Jarvis, your agents don't have budget. You have to operate with the constraints of cost, plan, and whatever else that you have in your business. So architecture matters. Choose wisely, right? Thank you, guys. I am joined by my colleague Suresh Palaka. We are going to be here till 4 o'clock, and then I have to spend 2 hours to reach airport. Feel free to talk to us. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and down the line, we may have a free Agent Mesh course. So if you connect with me, I will post an update. You will get with all those things. There's a lot of things that you can do. To start with, maybe help me with this one. Visit Solace Agent Mesh on GitHub. Clone the code. It has documentation. You can exercise all these things yourself. And do not forget to star. That matters to me. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this. I want you guys to explore and let me know that you explored. Right? Thank you. And looking forward to talk to you. Feel free to stop, ask questions. Both of us are happy to discuss event-driven architecture and AI in event-driven integration. Thank you, guys. I don't think we have time for questions, right?
Check.